And you see, that's difficult now. I'm sat here with a cup of coffee. I drink a lot of coffee, but I do enjoy a cup of tea, so I'm going to say tea.
Have you ever tried a nice cup of cha?
Not really, no.
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 Oh my God.
I like mint tea.
Mint tea.
Mint tea, I'll sort of go that way.
Okay. So next time, cup of cha.
Cup of cha.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
There's a special recipe. Has to be brewed. There's a whole art to it.
Process that goes
Absolutely.
with it. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
I'll go with it.
So, tea or coffee?
And you see, that's difficult now. I'm sat here with a cup of coffee. I drink a lot of coffee, but I do enjoy a cup of tea, so I'm going to say tea.
Have you ever tried a nice cup of cha?
Not really, no.
No. Oh my God.
I like mint tea.
Mint tea.
Mint tea, I'll sort of go that way.
Okay. So next time, cup of cha.
Cup of cha.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
There's a special recipe. Has to be brewed. There's a whole art to it.
Process that goes
Absolutely.
with it. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
I'll go with it.
So next time,
okay.
Beach holiday or city break?
Oh, God. Depends on the time of year. We've just been to Krakow and it was brill.
Okay.
We had a lovely time. But we're going on a beach. We're going to sort of a beach. I think I'm going to have to say beach because I will relax. Damn.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
You didn't have to think
No,
about
I
that.
didn't have to think. No.
Netflix binge watch or a board game?
Oh, Netflix binge watch. Not that I watch a lot of TV.
Board game's too much hard work.
Yeah,
I need
just
to
too much
switch off.
thinking. Yeah.
Too much thinking.
Yeah.
Pineapple on your pizza?
No.
You just,
No.
that was a straight no.
No.
It's a no go. Early bird or night owl?
I'm not an early bird, so... no, I am an early bird.
What time's early?
5 o'clock, 6
That's-
o'clock.
yeah, that's
Only because I
early.
wake up, I'm a bad sleeper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I enjoy a night out.
Okay. Because the concert or comedy show?
Oh, I just booked Greg Davis last night as well. Going to go for a gig. Yeah, concert.
Gig. All right. Winter snow or summer sun?
Summer sun.
Camping or 5-star hotel?
Camping.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
All right. Thank you very much.
Do I have to ask you the back?
You can. We were fortunate to meet through Manny.
Yeah.
Big shout to Manny at Bobble.
Yeah.
Big shout to Gordon and Ian for putting up Climb.
Fantastic.
It was great, wasn't it? But this is an opportunity to talk about what you do. And so tell me, especially for the people that are listening, what is it you do?
Oh, what do I do? No, I work in the sports industry and have done for pretty much the entirety of my career. I'm currently the managing director of Leeds Tykes, the rugby union team in Leeds.
And what does that mean? Because obviously I just think of sports TV, rugby on TV, and the actual sport itself, because that's what most people see.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot more.
There is. We're a small team off the pitch, so obviously the product is on the pitch. You've got players, you've got coaching staff, you've got support staff. Off the pitch, you've got the element around commercial, the operational side of it, match days, and just all the normal business functions that go on there in terms of purchasing, whatever it might need to be. My role is very specifically around commercial development. So it will be about commercial relationships, sponsorship, new partnerships with organisations. We're starting to reach into some larger organisations now. We're not just Leeds focused. I also look after match day, just making sure that our match day runs really well. We have all hospitality before it, so everybody has a great time. Once the game goes on, it's like we can all relax. Once the game's going, and it's just after, and we do a little bit of a presentations after. So I look after match day, but generally, because we're such a small team, I can be from. Can you go and pick up the jerseys, which I'm doing on Friday, from the kit supplier right the way through to managing all the commercial deals that we do as an organisation.
Wow, sounds really like hands-on.
It is, and I think I've found my niche of that's what I enjoy. I like being the hands-on. I like having that opportunity to shape things. I'm given a lot of freedom to do what I think is the right thing for the club. I've got a very supportive board who are asking me what would I do, which is great. It's a nice opportunity. So it is. It's a very varied role.
They're empowering you to make them decisions and actually take that direction of the club.
I was fortunate, and I came in originally as a sort of a commercial consultant, just to sort of drop in and try and help them and do some preparations. But I met very quickly with the board, and we worked out a relationship where they sort of understood my background from within the sports industry and sort of were asking me now, what can we do, as opposed to telling me what we should be doing. So we found a really nice way of working together, very supportive people. And we've got a little bit of opportunity now to grow the sport back to where it was, because we've been in different places as a club. But since COVID, it's been a bit of a reform and now a bit of a project to move.
So no dull days.
Well, it's supposed to be a part-time role, but at the minute
really?
it's full-time. Yeah, no, it's part-time purely on the basis of we're not a large organisation, so there's an element of. But as happens with a lot of these things, you tend to take on a part-time role, but you sort of work full-time. Yeah. My attitude is, and it's one in sport. Sport doesn't switch off. So it is sort of 7 days a week. So there's sort of every day you're sort of picking up on things. Primarily a lot of the work, because I'm commercially oriented, is Monday to Friday.
Sure.
But at weekends there's usually some marketing material stuff to do. There's some communications to happen. There's a follow-up, or there'll be a relationship that we need to sort, or whatever it might be. So I think this suits my world of I kind of fairly active every day. And it allows me to build a bit of a reputation for the club, I think, and that's great.
Good. You said the makeup of the team is quite small. What does that mean? Sub 10? Are you sub 25?
No, we're a micro business. We've got a rugby department that's got a director of rugby and a head coach. Sitting alongside there are some support coaches, a couple of defence and attack coach. But we also have a support team, a medical support team for match day, so they're there for training. That's doc, a couple of physios, some therapists, and then we have a lot of volunteers that help out on.
Sure.
So that's match day. Off the pitch, there's myself and the club secretary, who looks after a lot of the financial side of it and the registration. So it's a small team. The team really is the lads playing on the pitch, and we've got a squad of around about 35, 40 players at the minute. Quite a large squad at the minute, in fourth week of training, pre-season. And they're finding the feet, which is great. So it would be perceived as we're quite large, but actually off the pitch, we are micro. That's why everybody does a bit of everything.
Okay, fantastic. So what's the biggest challenge you've got in business? You know, you've got to manage a team. You've got to bring new business in with sponsorships. You've lots of hats you're wearing. What's your biggest challenge?
I don't want people to hear this, but it is the challenge that we have. Brand awareness. Our brand is we are a rugby union team that's played at the highest levels in England, and yet we are in a city that is a rugby league city and dominated by two sports, rugby league and rugby union. Now, I've been in this position before where I managed the hockey team, and everybody's a Leeds United fan and everybody's a Rhinos fan. Rugby union has been at the top echelons of where it can get to in England. But our brand awareness is something that I want to work on this year. This year is mine. How do we lift our identity? How do we create a little bit more of a hubbub around rugby union as a sport and see us now playing, because we're playing nationally. We play down in London in the southwest. We're over in the northwest, so we play nationwide. We're now my drive is to build the brand and get the team to be in a position where people, when I go in a room and people and say I work for Leeds Tykes, people go, I know who you are, or I know what you do. At the minute, that's part of the challenge. So I think that is genuinely my biggest hurdle. The other side of business can come with other things.
It just comes.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to obviously dig a bit deeper on that. What are you doing to fix that problem?
Some of it is going out and about. I think one of the things that I think works in business is a lot of face-to-face interaction. I've just come from a networking group where it wasn't about selling anything. It was just about connecting with people, meeting with people who I've seen before, and we've caught up. And how are you doing? How's your quarter going? What's business like at the minute? So I do think my activity is to get out there and meet with people and share that we are here. Yeah. We're here to work. We want people to come along and enjoy a rugby game with us and experience. The other side of it is we've got a new marketing partner just to sit alongside us and help us do a little bit more around communication. We've not really, I think as a club, we've probably been very good internally and managing inquiries. We haven't been reaching out very much. So my focus is about reaching out, connecting, whether that's face-to-face, social media, maybe direct contact or referrals through other people. So yeah, it's and that's why it gets a little bit busy when you want to be in different places and different times. But I think Leeds, there's a lot of buzz around Leeds where people like to get together and mingle and enjoy each other's company, and I think that's a good place to be if you can get in it.
I totally agree, because no one's going to do business if they don't know you, if they don't like you, if they don't trust you.
Yeah.
And if we can't have a conversation and meet and really get to know what the substance is, the business will never come.
No.
So yeah, you do right. Just going back to the awareness piece, how much of the sport is televised?
It's a good question, because everybody sort of sees sport as the big glamorous thing, and is it on TV? And yeah, we use social media, our own social media channels. There is a national rugby channel which is sort of on YouTube that gets some exposure, but there's no TV deal that we have at the level we're playing. We're playing at third tier. So we're just below sort of the professional level. It's a semi-professional entity at the minute. And that brings along challenges, because any media company is looking for the top echelon. So they'll look at the Premiership, and that's where you'll see the bigger clubs that Leeds have played before, and they're still in there. And there's exposure on that. It's on BBC, it's on ITV, it'll be on Channel 4 or 5, or it'll be streamed. So we're kind of underneath that level. And that makes it hard, because you're like any business, you're always trying to reach, well, what's my reach? Where do I get to see people, and how can people see us? So we have some channels where people can see us, but no, we're not on mainstream TV. And it's part of the thing that as a club, to do that, we've got to rise through the ranks and get ourselves known, and we might get a little bit of coverage. It might start locally with, Calendar might come along, and Look North might come along and say, you know what, we've seen something going on, which is what happened last year, because we got promotion and we won the league. So there was a lot of more in when you get success, like a lot of business.
Of course,
people want to know about it, and they want to take a little bit of coverage.
And how do you get the team to leverage that position? For example, do the players do they have a task to, I don't know, work in community, help in businesses, do other things, and then tie it back into? So
it's a semi-professional league. So a lot of the lads are working or they're studying, and some have got full-time jobs. So the rugby is sort of an adjunct to their full-time career. And I would say, and I'm probably going to do someone a disservice, and they'll probably give me a lot of jib when I get back, no one's got a massive profile on social media. So there's not a way of which you could look at it as we've got players who are influencers or anything like that can reach out. Now, I've had that in my previous role in hockey. We had players who genuinely had a good following and a fairly good influential impact on social media. So I think there's the challenge for the players is for them to recognise the opportunity from a commercial point of view. And that's my job, is to come in this year in pre-season, is help them appreciate that actually without commercial relationships, we wouldn't have a team, because we wouldn't be able to afford to travel around, to pay players, pay the coaching staff, to pay the off-pitch staff, to be based up at West Park. All that costs money, and we are travelling nationwide, so the budget on travel has rocketed this year. So we've got to find ways of which maybe the players appreciate that commercial side of it and how much they can do. And to be fair, some do bring in their either employers or contacts to say, come along, and we find sponsorship arrangements, or they'll come and support us at games. Brilliant. But that's not a driver for them from a player's point of view. It's on the pitch, they're very much focused on that. But that doesn't mean you can't keep chipping away and just give them a little bit of a nudge and say, you know what, if you do meet someone who shares an interest, why don't you invite them to the club, or put them in touch with me, and I'll happily invite them through. So yeah.
No, I think you're right, and sometimes it gets maybe communicated as a vicious circle, but I think it's more about understanding the opportunity that it fuels, that you need them business networks, because in the absence of them, like you said, there'd be no money in the business.
There wouldn't be... rugby unions, you've got to remember, people might think of rugby in Leeds and they'll go Leeds Rhinos. Sure. You're getting thousands of people in Headingley, and of course that's generating revenue, but it's very costly to put a Super League team on the pitch. It's the same in rugby union. We have exactly the same pressures where we're travelling, we're paying players, not to the same budgets that anybody in the Super League are, But it's an element of, it's a costly business to run a semi-professional rugby team to play nationwide. And there's the time element of it. You know, players are training Tuesday, Thursday, some Saturdays as well, and they're on 3 times this week. This is a time-consuming role, as well as alongside those who are studying for degrees and postgraduate, and also those who are working full-time, because a lot of the lads do work as well. So it's a challenge, but it's part of the challenge is if we can build more and more people being aware of what we do and the experience they can have, maybe that burden can just be lightened a little bit, because it's always, everything costs money. It doesn't matter what you are in, it's generally costs a little bit of money to get there. So we'll just keep chipping away.
Yeah, absolutely. So related to that, what's the dream in 12 months? Where do we need to be?
See, 12 months is too short in sport.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna, and I should be saying, 12 months we'll be promoted. No, it just happened like that. There's 12 other teams to beat. I think where we are in 12 months is we will have consolidated our position. We'll be a competitive team in the league we're at. Okay. We've just got promoted from what is a national regional network, so we were at the northern end. So we played a lot of clubs locally. We're now playing teams that there's some iconic brands in there. Birmingham and Moseley have been around for years. We're playing Rosslyn Park. We're playing Rams, who've been around for donkey's years. So there's an element of Plymouth Albion, our first game. They're one of the favourites, local favourites, Rotherham Titans. We're in a position where we are now playing some very good quality rugby teams. So I think in 12 months' time, if I'm sat here, it would have been, we were competitive. We won more games than we lost. That would be a nice aim and target. We've kind of got more of a 3-year plan. And in 3 years, my suggestion in 3 years is when we'll be challenging to move back in the championship. And then it becomes a more serious operation. So we've got, in sport, we haven't got anybody who's come in with a shed load of money and gone, I'll buy you through. Okay. Where there's also some regulations around playing at this level in terms of budgets that we have to have and operate with. So there's an element of being competitive in the next 12 months with a view that that's the stepping stone for the following year and then the following year. So it's in our head, working with the board, we've sort of got a 3-year plan of, in 3 years, we will be challenging for the championship. That's where we want to be. In 12 months, I'll come back and I'll say, let me tell you where I thought we were going to be and where did we end up?
That's the short-term goal.
It is. It's a very much a short-term goal, but it's not one where, you know, we're going to get promotion again. If we did, it would be fantastic. But it's not necessarily the direct aim at the minute. It's about being competitive and finding our level.
And it's so interesting because each industry is different. You know, timelines are very different. Over and above the business that we run here, I'm a governor at a school. And even there, it's just been taken over by a new academy, a new trust. Yeah. And they're taking the school from, it's a good school at the moment, but obviously they want to get it to outstanding. Yeah. Now, they know it's a 3-year journey. It's not going to happen in a year. Yeah. So in the world of education, that's okay. In the world of sport, like you've just said, it's 3 years. It's not going to happen any sooner because it's not that you can't be any more agile, but it's just the time it takes.
It is, and I think in a lot of business, there's a lot of competition out there. In any business and in any industry, there's competition. And I think sport's not unique in that nature. Is we've got 12 other teams that are sitting around there probably thinking like us, is we want to be competitive. We've got to recruit good players, good quality players. We're building on a good core who've moved up a level. So it's almost like they've got promotion internally. And then we've brought in some new figures that will give us some strength and take us to that next level. But that's all got to gel like any other business where the team's got to work together and everybody knows their role and understands how they contribute. And that sometimes takes time. And sport's not something where you can dominate primarily. We've had 2 very, very good seasons where we've only sort of lost 1 game each year. Last year we didn't go up. This year we did go up. But everybody else is probably sitting in the seat going, right, we're going to be competitive. We're all going to be winning. And so I think we've got to take the jeopardy that goes with sport in general, which is we're going to win some games, but we're also going to lose some games. And it's how you utilise that loss to build for the next game. And
to fuel the energy.
Absolutely. What do we learn? What did we not do well? How do we do it? Yeah. We can be quite analytical about that. And the sport has changed massively in my career, where the tech has become far more informative for the coaching staff and for the players to understand, you know what, your yardage wasn't great, you know, your power outputs aren't great, we need to work on certain factors. That wasn't around 20 years ago. Now it's the norm. So we're embracing things that weren't around 20 years ago that try to give you a little bit of an edge. But to be honest, everybody else is doing the same. You know, everybody in the division is doing it. So it's quite a competitive level. And it's going to be a tough year, but it's a positive one because it's a good challenge, and the players are definitely up for it. Seen a bit of pre-season, and the lads are doing well. They've come back in good condition, so that's a positive.
Fantastic. No different to our industry. We're in the business of video and storytelling. And I always say, I'm just a man with an opinion, but yeah, you can't argue the data. You know, who watched it? How much of the content did they watch? What did they rewatch? What did they skim over? Yeah. And that tells you, what was it really worth the investment?
Absolutely.
And so in the same manner, it's really interesting to hear that, you know, data is being used and is a key tool or a key player in that feedback loop to improve the team's performance. You know, less sprinting, pace yourself. You know, we've got a whole, you know, game to play, and if you wear yourself out too early, it's
tough because I think people see sport as if you lose, it's sort of next game you'll come firing up, but you don't know what's going on away from the pitch, and people have got their own lives, and particularly at this level where it's semi-professional play, people are working or studying, and then the rugby comes along and they're committing to that, and so people are juggling quite a lot. It's not like they're almost juggling 2 or 3 different things. And I respect that. I think this is the hardest level in sport because if you're a full-time professional, you wake up in the morning and you're being a full-time professional rugby player. And when you go to sleep, you're still a full-time. At the level we're playing at, we've got people who are thinking, right, tomorrow, what am I doing at work? Oh, I've got to go training Thursday night, or I've got to get ready for a game on Saturday. So there's an element of you've got that multifaceted thing that we're all working in the business sector. But I think it will be a juggle. I think there's competition out there that everybody wants to be the best and everybody wants to perform. We've now got to find the edge on that and hope that our players perform well and gel together as a good team, and we get the results. Some would say, do you deserve any result? If you work really hard in sport, you can get good results. But the other team you're usually playing is always doing the same as well. They don't wake up and go, you know what, I think we'll play really badly today, and that'll be it. We don't do that in business. You don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to do a really rubbish day today. I just feel like being rubbish. I don't know many people like that. No. So it's the same in sport. You know, people try and they put effort in. Sometimes that effort just can't get to be 100%. It might be 80% for whatever reason. And I think we're a little bit more. I think we have to be more accepting of that, and that goes across business as well. So,
it's a really good point, that is, and I think over the last 5 or 10 years, the phrase well-being has started to become more prevalent. Maybe after COVID, that came to the forefront of a lot of conversations. That understanding that when you're juggling so many things, you make a good point that some of the players have got day jobs or they're studying and then they're playing rugby, and they've got to dedicate them hours, you know, for the training and for the game. And if they're distracted with what's happening at work, what's happening at home, it can hinder your performance.
It can. I did an afternoon yesterday on well-being, actually. So there's a coincidence in that, but well-being's become a more focused element in sport. I would say 10 years ago, there was an element of people were realising in sport, particularly professional sport, Olympic sport, there was a massive dedication, but it took its toll physically and mentally. Yeah. I think COVID was like a threshold for everybody, where I think mental well-being really rose to the sort of forefront of everybody saying, actually, how are you? Are you okay? Rather than, you know, sport is quite a physical activity, obviously, and therefore if you've got a bad arm or a bad leg, or you're injured, people can see that and go, oh, you'll be on recovery, but people don't see what goes on in here. And I think that's more of a challenge because we don't quite understand what goes on in there ourselves. And and I think COVID was a massive shift for everybody in any industry, not just the sport world, where people started to say, actually, I'm okay saying I'm not doing very good today. I don't feel 100%. And there might be a reason behind that. I don't have to share it, but I think people are more accepting that sometimes they might be working at a 7 out of 10 rather than a 9 out of 10. And I think we are becoming more accepting of that as a society. Some people are more forgiving than others, but I think, you know, I admire and respect people have very, very busy lives, and you can't function at 10 out of 10 all the time. There's an element of where you will be 10 out of 10 one day, but then the next day it might be, it's a 3 out of 10. Damn, there'll be reasons why. So I think we've become more aware of it on the well-being side, and I think that's important for the players to understand that we're conscious of that as well.
I agree, and we've normalized that term, thankfully, because before there was a bit of a stigma around it. I don't want to say that. It might just kick off the wrong vibes, and people might shrug their shoulders or just walk off with a bit of a funny look. But it's actually healthy to communicate these things, because we don't actually know the power of the mind. No. And the mind is actually where it all happens with regards to that confidence to win, or something else which is distracting my mind. And I'm not playing at my full speed or my full optimum capacity because my mind's elsewhere. So I think there's a lot there that's still not kind of thrashed out. It's still
I don't think we understand it. I think, you know, I've done a little bit of work around neuroscience, and I'm curious about it, but even the neuroscientists will say we don't really know what's happening up here and how we make decisions. We sort of know that there are routes that messages go through, but we still don't quite understand it. And I think it's healthy. I think there is a generational thing. I think the younger generation are far more open and quite willing to express how they are feeling, and challenge others about it. Whereas, you know, I'm of a generation where you didn't say anything. If you were having a bad day, you didn't tell anybody.
Just stay quiet.
It was, and I also think there's probably a gender thing in that. I think men are very poor at expressing themselves and saying, you know what, if something's gone wrong, I probably did do it wrong, but we're not very good at saying, you know what, my error, sorry. You know, I keep telling my kids I do everything, you know, dad knows everything, but dad doesn't know everything. But I think we are seeing a different society that's more accepting that well-being is something that we need to have a consciousness of. And it's not that sort of, let's just move that under the carpet. Let's just forget about that. You know, it used to be pull your socks up and all that sort of thing, you know, come on, shrug it off, you'll be all right, you know, pull yourself together. There are still things out there like that, but I think we're moving in the right direction where people see business, sport, people, it's tough and people juggle a lot. And I think, you know, sometimes you've got to stand back and go, yeah, they may not be performing well, but there's probably something behind that. They haven't woken up today and gone, I'm going to play rubbish today. I don't feel like doing it today. Does that? And I think that's tough. So I think I'm sensitive to it.
And it's great to hear that, because a lot of the leadership teams can't read them traits or can't see that. And when teams aren't performing, not just in the sports world, but in business world, they should actually start to wake up to having them kind of observations and reflections, just to say, everything okay?
And it might be as simple as that. And it's just that we talk about small check-ins. I do some leadership stuff with another group, and I think we talk about when you take a group of people away from their normal work environment and ask them to reflect on their work, their performance, their colleagues, how they interact, their communication, they start to realise that actually some of the things that they do aren't effective, aren't efficient, aren't very good. And I think that's something that we've got to help people move into. Is I think everybody has leadership qualities. I'm not a big fan of you're a leader because you're here. I think the leaders are everywhere. I think it's leadership skills that you demonstrate rather than you are a leader. And I think we have to have far more consciousness with the check-in. Sure. Are you okay? Of course. Genuinely, are you okay? And having that informal time to, you know, grab a drink and sit in the canteen and you have a little bit of a chat and you, what are you up to? I think we're getting better at it, but some people are still, you know, sensitive to it or not, a bit cynical about, we don't need to be doing all that and just need to get on and crack on. I hear it now and I see it and you go, yeah, probably that's their world and they don't know any different. So we keep working on those sort of elements. Absolutely.
Keep chipping away.
Yeah.
So you've been in sports for, has it been your whole career or has it been the last?
My first job was in 1993 and I was a lecturer in sports science in Hull College. And since then apart from the odd break, I've literally worked in the sports industry since. So yeah, it's a long time.
It's not that long.
30 odd years, 35 years. Yeah.
So knowing what you do now, go back 20 years ago, what would you do differently?
Ooh. I would have liked to have got into the world I am in now, probably earlier. Okay. I remember in the late 90s, I'd spent a bit of time over in the States, just on summer camps and helping out in that. But I was into ice hockey at the time, and I was looking at, are there any roles out there? And I was a physiologist, so I was sort of sports physiologist. So I was trying to get on the medical side and look at but it wasn't quite ready for it. So I think if I was to look back, if I'd have been doing what I do now 10 years ago, I think I would have enjoyed it. That doesn't mean the things I was doing 10 years ago weren't very good. But I was right on the cusp of I had a consultancy where I worked a lot within the sports industry and a lot in rugby, Irish rugby and Welsh rugby, England cricket, some Olympic teams. But it wasn't in the role I'm now, which is very much more operational and commercial. It was more the advisory side.
Okay.
They were great times, loved it, and probably shaped where I've got to now. But if I could have got to do what I do now 10 years ago, I think I'd have enjoyed it. I'd have liked that.
Fantastic. And for the new graduates or people leaving school, that new generation, what's your advice to them?
Oh, I could almost say it's what I'm at. I think you have to gain useful experience. Don't just passively get work.
Yeah.
And I say that because I'm a massive advocate of people going through in education and going through graduations and everything else. I'm a massive advocate of education, but for some people it might not be the route. And I think if people gain those work-related skills early on, they can be a really valuable asset in any business. So rather than, being going into the retail industry because it's a Saturday job and I earn £10 an hour and it gives me pocket money to go out on a Saturday night, it's actually utilize those skills around communication, building relationships, understanding what people want. I think it's almost being purposeful quite early on and understanding what it is, what do you enjoy, what do you like doing. But I think we've got a generation who are coming into that now. I think the younger generation I think they're quite intuitive. I think they're curious. I think they're quite productive in what they want, and they're resourceful. If they get a bit of a knockdown, it's like, right, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. So I actually think we do our younger generation a bit of a disservice. I think my advice is, if you think of everything you do contributes to what you're going to be in 5 and 10 and 15 years time, I think it's about that early thought about what is it that you really want to do. Don't have to nail it down, but build those skills. Build the skills that will get you to be a valuable asset, and you can start whenever. You can start as early as possible, in my mind.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's brilliant. It's a quick snapshot and a quick insight to the business where you are, and obviously giving some I suppose a reflection on our next generation, which is super important.
Well, I've got my eldest she's on work experience now, and I wanted her to get work experiences that were real work experiences, not I do my Saturday job and I'll do this as my work experience. It was go and find different things, and I've tried to introduce her to people I know and said, have the conversation, say what you'd like to do, and see if you can build an experience out of it. I just think it's important, because I think not everybody will go into university or the university route. They will probably leave school. A lot of people want to get into work. It's very, very hard. It's really hard for people to get into work and work that's perhaps building a career for them. That's where I just think, everything you do, think about that contributing to where you're going to go next. What's the next 5 years? Because I never knew I never knew what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to be in sport in some way,
but not exactly.
But I had no idea really what I wanted to do. So I get it when you're 15 and 16 and people saying, you're going to do your A-levels, you're going to go to university. Thinking, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, of course.
But I think people sort of do it because it seems to be what everybody else does. The friends do it, so they go with the peer group. They see all the great stories, and it is. I went to college, I went to university, had a fabulous time, but it's different now. It's very, very different.
Absolutely.
And I think I think people need to make more conscious choices to go through that path if it is, and say, well, actually, if I take that choice, the pursuit after will probably be in a certain area of career. I think it's terrible when people do get to the other side of the studies and then they go, I don't know where I'm going to end up. And it's like, you know, was that a good experience? They probably had a great experience. I don't know, but I think there's some more conscious choices to be made. I'm saying that as a dad now because I'm thinking, well, am I becoming away with 2 daughters about to do it? But,
no, of course. I mean, I say the similar thing to my son. When he finished his GCSEs, his mum was like, all right, so, you know, get a part-time job on the weekend. There's an Amazon warehouse down the road, or, you know, there's a shop around the corner. And I was like, well, 1 minute, just before you run down that rabbit hole, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And is it media? Is it sales? Is it, you know, estate agency, you know, get into property world? And I go, wherever you want to, wherever your heart tells you that, oh, that's interesting. I go and try that.
Yeah.
You don't have to get paid.
Yeah.
Get into that environment, get some experience. You might not like it, but that's okay as well.
Yeah.
Because you've gone and you've done it and you've tasted it, and then you've told me you've not liked it.
And that for me is a really good. I remember when I was 17, I was doing my Community Sports Leaders Award, and I've got 2 older brothers. One's a very bright older brother, the other one's bright as well, but he was definitely going to go into teaching. So I had parents who were saying, go into teaching, because that's what your brother's done. Sure. And you're practical and you do sport and you're going to be a beast. And you know what? I did an experience probably when I was too young, but it was, and I immediately came out of it and went, I don't want to teach.
It's not for me.
Don't want to teach in schools for love and money. Now, I did end up in education, but I ended up in the university sector, which I think is slightly different. But I think your point is really valid. It's actually try things to then say, actually, I've tried it, but actually it's not for me. Or what my experience wasn't what I expected. And I can say, you know what, I'll try something different. I think that's really valuable, because I think some people sort of discount it without trying it.
Of course. Of course.
And we're all probably guilty of that.
We're all probably guilty of that.
I don't like beetroot, and I've never tried beetroot. But
but they follow suit of like what the elder brother's done, or the cousins, or the friends. Oh, he's doing really well. He's a doctor, so you become
go and be a doctor.
Yeah, go be a doctor. That is logical. I get it, but still, that's not shouldn't be the number 1 or second. Shouldn't be in the top 3 reasons why to become the doctor.
No, I think it's. And maybe that's. I think we've learned as generations that we've gone through. I grew up in the 70s and 80s where it was there was a lot of trades and a lot of industry, and you sort of went and you got a job for, you know, you went to a job and that was your job.
That was it
for your career.
Life. That was it. Yeah,
absolutely. But I think we've now got generations of people coming through who recognise that, you know, the first job that you get might not be the end job. It's you know, you're probably going to bounce around a little bit. You're going to do the wheel, and you'll find different things. And I think the world has become great. I think there's so many opportunities. Yet actually, that creates a bit of where do you go?
That's a new problem.
Yeah, it's another problem that it's too much. So I think my role as a dad perhaps is, if I can steer and say, go and get those experiences, go and get experience, to then say, you know what, it wasn't the experience. Okay, that's great. What didn't you like about it? What did you prefer? What would you like to do? I think if we can encourage that without, you know, turning off the taps or saying, well, you know, you shouldn't do that because it's not, I don't think it's good. Well, they might think it's great. Well, go and do it.
I've just got an opinion.
If they're motivated by something,
absolutely,
get into it. Don't block it. So.
Absolutely. Where's the office? Where are you based?
We're based at West Park, Leeds, which is in Bramham.
Okay.
Which we've been there since sort of COVID times. So we have an office out there. We stay in the northwest. We play all our games out there. We play one Christmas game against local rivals. This year it's against Rotherham at Headingley. So we'll be trying to put as many bums on seats in Headingley and have a bit of a celebration. The 20th of December. I keep saying September. 20th of December. So you can start your Christmas holidays with a rugby game.
With a rugby game.
Headingley.
Fantastic. Good. So 2 last things just before we wrap up. We're doing good on time. It's 47, so we've got 10 minutes. I'd love just to understand a little bit more about your business network, because I know you're connected to a lot of businesses, and seeing what could we do to help you? What's the synergy or reciprocal support from that network point of view? And I'd love to just share a slide with you with regards to what we're doing here with the podcast. You talked about awareness. There might be some opportunity where we could support you in that, but we're here. Why not show you and tell you a bit about that? So about the business network that you have, and to tell me more about that.
So it's interesting because I've just been to a networking event in town. I think we are getting into I think I'd like to create what is a business community that comes together, that shares experiences, and that we learn more about each other's business. That doesn't mean you have to sell to each other, because you can have all sorts of people who will never collaborate in any way. But it allows them to have a better understanding of the sort of the business community in and around Leeds. So I'm looking at this year, I've already organised, we've got 2 events already organised, one in November, one will go ahead in February. We've got some other informal ones that I'm going to do. It's about bringing people together and saying, look, if you're interested in, primarily if you're interested in sport, and obviously rugby union will help. Because that's it's the kind of hook. If you're interested in sport, we've probably got something where we can mutually share ideas. If you're not, doesn't mean you're excluded, because a lot of the themes are around the sporting world and very much around the squad. So I'm looking at bringing those sort of businesses in who have that interest, and it might be their interest is, I just like to support the local club, and Leeds are it. We're on a bit of a trajectory in the right direction. We could be getting towards that level where we become one of the best teams in Yorkshire, which would be great. And you look at that and say, well, actually, come along with us and be part of what we do, because it's not just what happens on the pitch. We also have events off the pitch where it allows people to get together, be a bit more social, more informal, share ideas, they might learn. And then all of a sudden, people may do business together. And that's brilliant. If I can get people to do business together, that's fab. But that's not that's kind of the byproduct of... Actually, I just want a lot of people just to come and be involved and come and enjoy what we do, because we have a really nice match day. It's great. It's just a lovely thing prior to, and lovely food. The food is too good for me as well. I get too many pounds on, but the food's excellent. The company's nice. People are lovely, and you get to learn and meet people that you probably would never have met by being in a room. Just as I've just been at a networking group, I think I met a number of people I've known before. But I met about 3 or 4 people who I never would have met if I hadn't been in that room. And I think that's the kind of community I want to bring together. Of course, I'm going to be looking for those people who might be saying, actually, we're interested in getting more involved in a partnership, and it might be sponsorship. That's brilliant. I'd love to do that. But for me, those relationships are always about us working together, and not just a transaction where it's, you give us a bit of that and then we give you a bit of the back and that's it. Sure. Be part of what we do for the year and be part. And so that's what I'd like to do from the business community, is bring those groups of people who have an interest in sport and the local area, and saying, actually, it might be an area where we can enjoy ourselves informally, socialise, talk a bit about sport, talk about rugby, which will be great with the Tykes, and then maybe support a little bit more and offer a bit of financial support that we need, and be with us.
Of course.